Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Bitcoin price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. This is a deep analysis. We're gonna dive a little bit deeper in Bitcoin price to see what to expect, of course, for the next week and even for the next months. And of course, I wish you to have a nice weekend. So let's start on the all-time history for Bitcoin, where we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. We have, of course, a wave 1 here, impulse or a wave A. After both case scenarios, you are looking at a wave 2 or a wave B, followed by an impulse for a wave 3, 4, and a 5, potentially here to finish a bigger wave 1, meaning you are in a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 impulse toward the upside. It is an impulse because, of course, you didn't reach the zone 1 with your wave 4. And of course, it is looking like a great impulse toward the upside. Wave 3 is not the shortest between the 5 and the 1. Meaning, right now we have finished, of course, a wave 1 or a wave A, followed again by a correction. And our latest bull run, of course, has two phases. The first phase is very bullish, of course. After a correction here, you get a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 unfinished yet, where you are looking for this wave 5 as a 1, 2, 3, 4, and this wave 5, which is yet unfinished. Of course, on the all-time history as well, it looks like still, of course, as a 3 waves toward the upside. We have two options to finalize, of course, as this trend here for this wave 5. Whether you finish it, of course, as a wave 5, you see kind of like a one candle, red candle, and one green candle again. To finalize 5 waves inside it, can be diagonal, ending diagonal, or it can be, of course, internally as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but this wave 5 has to reach the parabolic curve and, of course, to close this gap that we still have over there for Bitcoin. This gap is formed, of course, by the curve taken from every single all-time high that we got in the previous bull runs. And, of course, we are looking right now to get the same. Knowing that we are very, very close for it, of course, but still not yet close 100%. I'm still looking anyway internally inside this move toward the upside, of course, even a little bit higher prices, which it might, of course, finalize this gap and, of course, close it exactly with the curve. Now, the second phase for this move toward the upside is corrective. A corrective wave where you might have, of course, a zigzag and another zigzag, and you have an X in between, meaning W, X, and a Y. And making this move toward the upside, somehow looking, of course, like a correction, very complex as W, X, and a Y, having 3 ways down, and then 3 ways up, and then, of course, moving for a wave C toward the downside again. In this case scenario, of course, you are looking for an A, B, and a C big corrective wave. And that might be, of course, your ABC after finishing a wave A or a wave 1 here. And that means, of course, you can be in a big wave 1, 2, or in a big wave A, B, and a C continuation toward the upside. Now, of course, in case that we are in an impulse, the bullish scenario here, in case that this is an impulse, you can expect a wave 2 to be very short. And in this case scenario, the wave 2 here can reach the 0.38 fib level. This 0.38 fib level is taken, of course, from the whole trend here as a retracement. For, of course, as a wave 1, you're looking for a wave 2. The wave 2 has to reach the 0.38 minimum requirement. Now, of course, this trend can still or those fib levels can still, of course, be adjusted more or less. But of course, the higher the price here goes, the higher those numbers goes with it as well. Currently, the 56K is exactly around this area, a very, very strong support area that, as we can see in the all-time history, it is one of the most strongest support area that we saw for Bitcoin ever. If you go back in history, you will not find such a sideways and such a very long range that we saw, of course, in Bitcoin, matching this area. Yeah, so I would consider that this area for Bitcoin is kind of like the zero for the price here. What I mean with it as a zero, I mean like it's a very, very strong area that it is very likely that we cannot break it, okay? And it is very likely if Bitcoin goes back down, this is of course the area which it is considered as a zero for Bitcoin right now. By all means, yes, it is very likely that Bitcoin doesn't see a price below the 56K anymore. And that means, of course, if we move here for wave 2, wave 3, wave 4, wave 5, continuation simply toward the upside, breaking above the 150K for Bitcoin. And this is going to be, of course, in 2 bull run that they might unfold later on. However, this wave 2 can be, of course, very fast, very shallow, unfolding very strong wave 3 toward the upside, and that because of course this is considered a wave 3 of 3. Why? Because you have a wave 1 already finished here, and you have your wave 2, the main wave 2, and you're looking right now for your main wave 3. Your main wave 3 has to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. And this makes it, of course, a wave 3 over 3, which is the most explosive wave that we might see for Bitcoin ever. So basically, I'm looking even for a very shallow wave 2, getting a lot of strength in this area, and then, of course, start to move toward the upside explosively and impulsively again. Now, if we are, of course, bearish, you are looking to break this area, and you might, of course, have a wave C, which it might be, of course, below the 56K. For me, it is very far off scenario right now, even to call, even in this area, of course, before we break it, it is impossible to call it. So let's move in the daily to see closer what is going on. First of all, I would like to mention the channeling. Of course, the channeling are one of the most important tools that you can use with Elliott Wave because they work perfectly with it, and it tells you exactly if your impulse is correct or not. So basically what we are looking at here in our bull run from the 15K to over 100K, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Potentially, of course, wave 5. We are still estimating the situation. So basically, once you see the price exiting the base channel, which is taken from the wave 1 and based on the wave 2, you see the wave 3 exiting, of course, this base channel, signaling that this is your wave 3. After that, you would like to see the wave 4 coming back to the base channel, sometimes hitting the base channel as a support and moving toward the upside. Sometimes it comes back to the midline of this base channel, finds some strength and start to move toward the upside. Now, during your wave 4, you have, of course, something called corrective channel. Inside this corrective channel, you would like to see the price exiting this corrective channel slowly and then heading, of course, towards the upper line, of course, of the base channel, and finally breaking, of course, the acceleration channel to enter the midline of it, of course, as a wave 5. Always the wave 5 has to hit at least the midline of the acceleration channel, especially when it is a fresh wave 5, meaning it is the first wave 5 in case you have several 1-2s. Now, in case that you have several 1-2s, the wave 5 is not yet done, as we are experimenting right now. Probably, you might see, of course, the price action exiting the acceleration channel and entering, of course, the base channel again, of course, as you can see, and start to range again inside the mid part of this base channel, getting some strength again, and then heading again toward the upside. Of course, it should be impulsive 1, 2, 3, your wave 4, again, of course, ranging in a corrective wave. And of course, you would like to see exactly the same repeating there, exiting the corrective channel, and of course, exiting the base channel as a second stage, and finally entering again, or at least hitting the lower part of the acceleration channel. Don't forget that this is a final wave 5 from several 1-2s, meaning the momentum of this wave 5 will be anyway exhausted, as we saw in the price action, and we're gonna start to, of course, experiment some downtrend and some, of course, difficulties to move for higher. And that means, of course, some exhaustion will appear even during this high. It's gonna create a lot of doubt, and it's gonna show some weakness that this trend might be, of course, experimenting hard situation to move for higher. Currently, we are in a good position still until now, like above the base channel, and probably we are entering it today. But still, I'm expecting to retrace toward the upside. And in case this succeed as a correction here, to have like a triangle around the base channel, we might see, of course, a wave 5 moving still toward the upside. You would like to see the wave 5 at least moving inside above the 130k and potentially can hit this acceleration channel. If it does, that would be great. If it not, okay, it's fine, but it is very essential to have a price above 130k to call it, of course, as a wave 5. If we have a price below the 130k, this might still be, of course, a potential expanding flat here where we are looking at A, B, and a C. I'm gonna explain, of course, on the daily counting here. So for the daily counting, first I'm gonna start with the bullish. As I said that, okay, we need, of course, to see 1, 2, 3, wave 4, wave 5. The wave 5 has to enter above the 130k as a target, preferably, and that because, of course, there is confluence in targets here for another scenario, which it might be, of course, the bearish scenario. As you can see, this blue zone under it, which it can be related to a wave A, B, and a C toward the downside. Don't forget that this A, B, and a C will bring you back, of course, for the lower prices around the 60k, which it might be, of course, the wave 2 that we talked about it in the weekly with the parabolic study here, and that we have a very, very strong area that we might come back to it, formation of a wave 2, and a bull run toward the upside. Now, the beautiful thing about this bear market is that more than the half of it is done and finished. And that means, of course, that the wave 2 is an expanding flat here, getting even more new highs for Bitcoin, which is nice to see as well. And then having just one final move toward the downside, as of course wave C, which it might be aggressive and fast, hitting, of course, this area and then pushing toward the upside explosively and impulsively for a wave 3/3. So basically, for this scenario, you would like to see the price not exiting the 126k. And that means, of course, as a wave B here expanding flat, you would like to keep the range under the 126 to 127k. Okay, can overshoot a little bit, but if it stays around this and below the 130k, that means, of course, you still in this wave B as an expanding flat A, B, and a C. Of course, if we overshoot it and we enter the area where we might start to consider this as a wave 5, definitely 130k is requested. Let's move inside it to see if we gonna survive this move toward the upside. On the 2 hours chart, we can see clearly that for the bullish scenario here, we are ranging in sideways. And of course, I mentioned be careful from this triangle. It might be the case scenario you are in wave 4. Wave 4 characteristic love triangles. And of course, A, B, C, D, and E is a very potential. It's coming closer and closer to be in this scenario. However, don't forget that breaking, of course, this triangle, first you want to break this line. Trend line, of course, taken from the A to the C here. And if you break it, of course, you have to watch the 115k. If the 115k 700 is broken, therefore, of course, we're moving at least to the 113k 300 here as a zigzag A, B, and a C, where you might face, of course, a deeper wave 4. It's not invalidated yet because the invalidation is exactly at the 110k 600, where you don't want to interfere with the zone 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. I doubt a little bit that this wave 4 is gonna be deeper. I believe that it's gonna go sideways, especially that we are in a weekend. And it might, of course, proceed the move towards the upside on a Monday or Tuesday, or I would say nobody knows. It can be tomorrow afternoon as well. So this is what I'm looking right now for this scenario. Plus, I would like to mention that you are still around the base channel. Right now, this base channel is being, of course, tested again. this range that you are looking at is gonna be played by the base channel, and we're gonna see how much this is gonna be a supportive channel for the move toward the upside and for this triangle at the same time. So yep, to be watched. Of course, I believe that we are in a triangle in a higher potential scenario, but yeah, you don't want to see the trend line here broken and getting, of course, inside this invalidation point here, right? 115k 1700. Now, the alternative scenario that we have for the bearish here is, of course, where you are in this critical area for a wave C here to finish a wave B. Of course, in this case scenario, you are in a wave A, B, and a C, of course, toward the upside. Can be, of course, very likely scenario. This is what I'm talking about, like a very exhausted move here, and that you are in a wave A, and this might be, of course, a complex structure. You have the wave B. If we finish here as a 3 waves, that might be, of course, even 3 waves or even an impulse. That might be, of course, the finishing up of a zigzag here for, of course, a wave B. And that means, of course, it brings us back to a big wave A in the yellow, big wave B expanding flat, because, of course, taking the high, and then again, confirmation of a wave C expanding flat towards the 60k for Bitcoin. After this, you're looking definitely for a new bull run. That was it for Bitcoin. The deep analysis for the highest possibility again is to watch, of course, this trend line for the triangle. If broken, yeah, the next level is gonna be the 1-to-1 fib level. Here is the last chance for Bitcoin. If broken and taking the invalidation, it is simply bearish. All right, so here is the bearish scenario confirmed by taking the invalidation of this move toward the upside. Okay, that was it for Bitcoin. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments, and see you in the next one. Bye bye.